To follow up on a recent video allowing spectators in your game, this is kind of like the next natural topic, although this is a real issue for me. Have you ever had a player join your game when your campaign is, months long and no clear end of the campaign in sight, but you have a player you're going to add? You didn't add him at the start, not at session 0. What do? The issue is that the world is already moving and everyone knows who they are and their place in the world. Bringing in a new player is exciting. It's risky because if you handle it wrong, the whole night stops being about the campaign and kind of starts being about the new guy. And I have one of those nights coming up. My son Devin is joining the table. Last time he played, he was 14. And then, like every teenage boy in human history, he found something more important to chase. Now that he's 18 years old, he's coming back. But it's not like all the games we played before where he was at the core of the beginning of the game. He's coming into a campaign that's already been going for 7 months. The wild thing about this whole thing is that he actually has been following this campaign. Every week he would ask me or Mallory or probably both of us, what happened, who died, who lived, anything exciting. And we kind of shared the details because, that's one thing we all do. We all love to talk about our game rather than have a spectator like I talked about in my previous video. This young man, he's been itching to play. He just didn't feel like he had the time with his work schedule and, his life, his girlfriend, all this stuff. But apparently he's been talking to his girlfriend about our game night and they have come to some sort of arrangement. And she says, and this is hilarious, his girlfriend says that it's okay for him to join the table. Now, this is, again, once every 2 weeks on Monday night. It's really not that much of a time commitment. So here we are. And we were looking through the different books to see what kind of character class he wanted to be. And then I remembered that I had the Cursed Scrolls. It has the Pitfighter, and he said that sounds right up his alley. He is a collard. He has this big iron metal thing stamped around his neck with a lock mechanism. In my world, the collar is a sign of a debt. In this case, when he was a child, his mother had a debt. Now, do I know what debt that is? No idea. Do I care? No, not in the least. That's going to present itself as the players interact. She couldn't pay the debt, she dies, and he still wears the collar. And it's to the point where it's like growing into his flesh. Terrifying. This collar has social significance. It's a shunning. You can't get a job, you can't get a loan, you can't do business, you can barely find a date. So he's a pit fighter. He fights for money, sometimes highly organized fights, sometimes just street fights. That's how he's managed to survive all these years while traveling the world looking for the debtor. That's who he is when he shows up in this story. There's a ton of ways to bring in a new player to a game, and I'm gonna first tell you how not to do it. He just walks in, sits down, and bam, there he is. He's a member of our campaign. He's been here all along. Does it work? Absolutely. Is it lazy? Hell yes, it's lazy. I wanted to take a step closer to realism with this one. I thought I could drop him into a few places. I could drop him in at the Smoking Lantern Inn. He could be in there arm wrestling for money, and there's a crowd cheering because he's kind of a strong guy. Or to do with his collar, he could be in the town stocks being humiliated for the crime of existing with a debt that he doesn't even know what it's for. Maybe he's in a back alley somewhere as bounty hunters are closing in on him. And then the one I liked the best was have him on the docks. He just got into town off the boat. Okay, now that does two things for my world. It establishes another place. Thus far, we've only been on one continent. Now, because of him coming in on a boat, that establishes a whole other land and a whole new, years of gameplay. I was gonna have him come in on the docks and they're gonna find him. Maybe he's in a fight, maybe not. And all of those were gonna work. I was actually gonna take 1d4 and roll it of the 4 things, let the dice choose. But then I was thinking about the class. He is a street-hardened pit fighter. So why not just go all in? Instead of dumping lore, I will have him enter the game mid-pit fight. So the hangman's away. That's where we are in our campaign right now. The hangman is off doing something else. And so the underground pit fights are really ramping up. And they actually use the gallows where the hangman performs his executions as the ring for the pit fights. These pit fights are usually between two collared persons. So he has a collar on and his opponent has a collar on. It's a fight to the death. And it's not simply beat the person to death. DC 21 lock on their necks, and in the middle of the ring is what? A lock pick or a set of thieves' tools, and they have to fight to get it, and then to engage the other person's lock mechanism to kill them. I'm gonna have the players walking in as me and Devin are rolling this fight. The players are gonna get to the table just as Devin is jamming the lock pick into the collar, turning it, activating the spring, and beheading his opponent. There's gonna be a clank of the lock and the spring mechanism going, and then a wet clunk as the blade snaps shut and the guy's head rolls off. Show, don't tell. It establishes the collar and the significance of the collar without me having to just sit here and narrate, a bunch of boringness. He will then immediately, emotionless, walk to the pit boss, get paid, pocket some coin, and leave. And just walk away like it's another day. At this point, it's all up to the other players. Now, they all know my son. This is not some stranger to them, but I'm letting nature kind of take its course in the social circle within which we live. Are they gonna stop him? Are they gonna follow him? Are they gonna just assault him? I have no idea, and I'm not writing that script. I do know they will do something. The players are inclusive. They're not gonna make it weird. They're gonna let him get right into their group. But I want it to be clear that he's not the star of the show. I have to be very careful not to turn the whole thing into the Devin show. All I want to do is introduce him and then let the group's social instincts just play out. The scene's already in motion when the players get there. They walk into it like you walk into a story that's been going on without you. And I think that's the trick to adding a new player. You don't pause the world to introduce them and then force something like they've been there all along. You make it feel like they really existed somewhere in the world. Doing it the other way would be it's like pausing a song to explain the lyrics. Does that make sense? And I'm not planning how the party reacts. How can I know that? I can force it, and that changes what we're doing. My job is just to make it feel real, no matter what they choose. So to me, it seems like his character is not begging for friendship. He has this curse around his neck. He's shunned by the community. He needs people. But the collar is sort of a social curse. No merchant will really deal with him well. The guards don't trust him. I'm giving the collar a 1d4 charisma penalty. It's a consequence for his backstory. So see my video around here somewhere about penalties versus consequences. For any lawful NPC who recognizes the collar for what it is. There will be no penalty for criminals or outcasts. It's not punishment, it's story fuel. It gives the group reasons to talk to him, cover for him, help him, or even just use him as muscle. What I'm doing, it takes something that could be a dull, flat entry, hey guys, this is our new player, into something that drives the play forward. That's how I keep momentum. You don't hit pause when a new player's gonna join your group. You fold them into the song that is already playing. No expo dump, no tragic backstory monologue, just a world that keeps spinning. Now, this part could fairly be its own video. One of my subscribers, Orc Warchief Reviews, left this comment on my last video about spectators. And he says that he's seen plenty of games where the Dungeon Master invited a loved one, perhaps a child or a girlfriend. The whole story kind of became a princess story. And he's absolutely right. I have seen it happen. So 100% true. Now this is a little bit different. Devin is my son, but I've been harder on this kid than anyone. He's worked for me since he was 10. Back then, in those days, it was just chores, and now he's on payroll. And I don't give him any special treatment. Have you ever been to one of those businesses where you can clearly see who the owner's child is? He's sitting there lazy, not doing shit, but acting like he's the boss. Yeah, that's not this business. That's not the way it is here. The same rule applies to the table. There is no favoritism, no free passes. The dice don't give a fuck that this is my son, and neither do I once the dice start rolling. If anything, I might actually hit him harder because I know he can take it. So if you ever run a game with a loved one joining, you have to do something. You have to say to your other players at the table, I would say, you guys, I love this person, but I'm not saving this person. I think that one sentence builds a massive amount of trust. Then you follow through and demonstrate with your integrity that you are going to indeed not play favorites at all. And I'm really excited about this because, I mean, yes, I'm excited that my son wants to play with me again. You know, that era of teen angst where they go chase and then they come back to you. That's great. This is another chance to prove that this world that I have created does not bend for anyone. Not for me and not for him. So the next session, we're gonna see how it plays out. The new blood, prodigal son returns, baby. I'm pumped. It's so exciting. The dice are going to see what kind of trouble he gets into. He's a really good player. When he was a kid, my God, he's so good. He is, I mean, if he's half as good as he was when he played, it's going to be a good session. So that's how I bring a new player into the game, whether it's my son or not. Find a meaningful way to make it connect to the world, show the world spins without the current player's influence. You let the table and the story do the heavy lifting. My name is Rick. This is Save vs. BS. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and I'll see you in the dark.